Hello there and welcome. This is Free Russian speaking, and as always before the video starts I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Now today's video I will start with a breaking news, because the situation on the Seversk frontline has changed drastically within the last 24 hours. Here, as you know, for a long time, Russian forces with mixed results were attacking across the entire front. The attacks happened in the direction of Belogorovka, Verkhnekamensk, Spirny, Ivanodarivka, Vyimka, and of course village of Rozdolivka. However, despite multiple and numerous attempts, advances in this area were rather small, and at the beginning, today was no different. Initially, there were reports of small Russian advance in the direction of Rozdolivka, along this road and rail line, with just this very small portion of the front line coming in under Russian control. But recently, as I was about to start recording the video, breaking news came in. Apparently, and according to sources that I fully trust, Russian forces were able to successfully storm and clear out a significant portion of this particular portion of the front, where Ukrainians situated their most serious and well-defended position along the tactical heights located here. Here on this picture you can see exactly how much territories came under Russian control. As you can see, at the time of recording, Syriac maps had not updated yet, but I'm sure this update will soon follow. What this means is that basically Russians are in control of about this much territory. So most of the tactical heights and trench network system is in their hands, and this in turn means that the village of Rozdolivka will now be attacked from the north, northeast, east, southeast, and south. And while Russian attacks from the south were repelled by the Ukrainians, fresh Russian attacks coming from the east and northeast might tip the balance of power in this area. Russians will surely use their newly acquired positions on the tactical heights, and the control over those heights alone makes Ukrainian hold on Rozdolivka meaningless, as Ukrainian formations defending this village will find themselves in a fire pocket and will soon be forced to make a very hard decision to retreat and leave the village to the Russians. Perhaps the fall of Rozdolivka will be a key factor of further movements on this particular portion of the front. With control of such a village as Rozdolivka, Russians will be able to even out the front line from the villages of Saka-Ivanseti up to Fedorivka and Perizne, unifying the front, solidifying their forces, and going on next offensives in the direction of Fedorivka as well as in the direction of Kuzyumivka and Zvanivka. All those territorial changes happen as Russians advance across the entire front as well. However, at this point in time, there is no results to speak of. From here, let's move all the way to Kupiansk and quickly discuss a successful Russian attack that took place here in this area, in which Russians stormed a Ukrainian trench line that is located along this force line. And here you can see that on the video. As you can see, the initial Ukrainian positions are already heavily battered. Seemingly before this attack, Russians bombarded and shelled those positions heavily. You can also see a line of mines that were detonated prior to Russian attack. That's why the Russian armored vehicle was able to pass through the open field and reach the actual trench line. As you can see, before dispersing its infantry, the Russian infantry fighting vehicle provided covering fire, and by the look of it, Russian artillery and aviation already did most of the work. Now, due to infantry present, I must censor some portions of the video, but basically Russian forces are loading out of the infantry fighting vehicle, advancing towards a trench, entering it, and starting to clean it up. Interestingly enough, if you were to watch my video on Patreon, which will be of course uncensored, you would see that Russian infantry fighting vehicle nearly ran over one of its last occupants. For some reason, this still remains to be a problem, and I decided to point it out. Now, at this point in time, if you enjoyed this video so far, please do consider supporting it by any means you consider necessary. A like, comment, and of course a subscription if you haven't subscribed will be more than enough. Thank you for your considerations and support, and let's move on. From here, we will move all the way to the settlement of Avdiivka, or city of Avdiivka, and quickly discuss the situation that is currently developing on its very northwestern flank around the settlement of Ocheretine. Here, Russian forces continue to attack towards Novopokrovsk, as well as the village of Sokol, around villages of Arkhangelska and Keramik, and recently, as a result of successful storming operations, they were able to enter and entrench themselves within the first houses of Novoalexandrovka village. Here is exactly how much territories that was. At the time of me recording this video, there were reports of Ukrainian counterattacks with an obvious idea, of course, to push Russians out of Novomykhailivka and not allow them to entrench themselves within it. But as you know, generally speaking, Ukrainian counterattacks on this particular portion of the front were most unsuccessful, despite some pro-Ukrainian sources, of course, claiming otherwise. In reality, though, even pro-Ukrainian maps are agreeing with those Russian claims. For example, here on this pro-Ukrainian deep state map, you can see the situation of yesterday and the situation of today with those territories coming in under Russian control. So as you can see, Ukrainians too acknowledged Russian bridgehead within Novoalexandrovka village. One of the end result of many unsuccessful Ukrainian counterattacks is this video of Russians damaging or even destroying Ukrainian Bradley vehicle. So again, despite numerous and continuous Ukrainian counterattacks, the situation on the front line has not changed. Russians slowly and gradually advancing, taking more and more territories. Then from Avdiivka, let's move all the way to Novomykhailivka and discuss the recent territorial changes here as well. Within the last 48 to 24 hours, Russian forces became extremely active all across these fronts, attacking in the direction of Avdiivka, across the open fields in the direction of Kostiantynivka, as well as generally attacked all across the front line, as well as along this road in the direction of this highway and the village of Vodyane. First, let's discuss the situation in Avdiivka village. Now, a lot of sources are claiming that this village came under Russian control, partially due to the video posted from this village. However, at this point, as you can see, Russians are mostly controlling central portion of the village, with the remaining portion of the settlement located in the gray zone. When it comes to territorial changes, Russian forces were able to expand their buffer zone within the village and captured portion of this tree line, which consists of a trench. The more territories Russians will be able to capture around Avdiivka, the more unlikely successful Ukrainian counterattack in this area will become. And as soon as Avdiivka will be in full Russian control with its surrounding territories, we can expect Russians to attack in the direction of this micro-district, which as you can see is slightly isolated from Kostiantynivka proper, and perhaps we are witnessing an operation to capture this city in the making. In my opinion, in a day or two, the operation will officially start. In support of their brethren fighting in Avdiivka, Russian forces also launched a highly successful attack across these open fields in the direction of Kostiantynivka, southeastern outskirts, and as a result of successful offensive actions, took control over this quite big chunk of territory. Now, although seemingly those are just open fields and occasional tree lines, you have to understand that now, thanks to this, Russians will have less territory to cover under the fire of Ukrainian artillery and drones until they reach the first houses of Kostiantynivka. Russians were also successful at advancing here in this area, along this road here, with those territories coming in under Russian control. Now again, Russians will continue to advance here in this area. They have no other option. They must capture and cover the entirety of this huge front line to reach this vital road that leads from Vuglidar to Kostiantynivka and will be vital for Russian offensive effort if they want to capture Vuglidar and Vodyane. So in conclusion, in the next month, we will see more territories in this sector coming in under Russian control. Now from here, let's move to the north and quickly discuss new territorial changes around village of Pobeda, which Russians captured pretty long time ago, and for some time were tangled in a fight with Ukrainians over the buffer zone around the village. Ukrainians continuously counterattacked in attempt to regain control over the village, while Russians defended and went on the counterattacks of their own. The result of such battles is here on your screen. As you can see, Russians were able to greatly increase the buffer zone around village of Pobeda, effectively moving the front line away from the village and saving it from the continuous Ukrainian counterattacks, at least for the time being. The territorial changes that I've just discussed were also acknowledged by pro-Ukrainian sources. Here was the situation of yesterday, and here is the situation of today, with those territories coming in under Russian control. With this, I end today's video. Hopefully it was to your liking and was informative enough. As you can probably hear, unfortunately, I am still sick and I cannot shake off that sickness for the time being, but I am so much better and I will make videos more regular from now on. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free and great.